Hi, everyone. I'm Valerie Goodwin. I'm currently a PR student here at Eastern Michigan University, and today I'm going to be interviewing Dave. All right, Dave, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and when you graduated from Eastern?
Sure. So thanks for having me, Valerie. Dave Niemiec, class of 2009, which feels like a century ago. And I graduated with a degree, majored in communications, minored in journalism, and now I am currently a vice president at Current Global, which is a mid-sized agency. Our offices are based in Birmingham, but we're all over the world.
All right, awesome. So first, I want to talk about life after graduation. I know you graduated a while ago, but when you graduated, were you able to find a job pretty easily, or did you decide to take a different route?
Yeah, so it was an interesting process. So 2009 was the height of the recession. And so my commencement was actually kind of a little depressing. Just it was the message was don't leave, go back to school. There's no jobs, which was the case. But so not maybe that hopeful message you're trying to get. But I spent probably a year plus looking for solid work. I had a couple odd jobs, not communications related. I actually worked at the airport for a while, just trying to make any type of money I could, but also did some freelance work for like a one-person like PR shop. I even did some blogging for Michigan football, which paid pennies, but I saw it as an opportunity to at least for a potential job prospect to show my writing, kind of work up my portfolio a bit, and just storytelling. So it took a while, fortunately, and I'm sure it was similar to anyone that graduated last year, just in the pandemic. The job market was not ideal to be graduating. But yeah, things seem to be bounced back up. So I don't want to scare anyone off with my story, but yeah, it wasn't the easiest, but I feel like that's kind of put me to the position where I'm at today.
Awesome. So what is the job that you currently hold today, and how were you able to find this job?
Yeah, so my role at Current Global, I'm a VP of client experience. And so we're kind of broken down into these like value-based communities is how we call it. And so there's four of them. There's client experience. So at an agency being kind of that day-to-day account lead and overseeing like the strategy of our work. And then there's integrated media. So your traditional PR earned, social, digital insights and analytics, and then content creative. And so I've been with the company for about a year and a half. But the backstory there is Current Global and Weber Shandwick are sister agencies, and Weber Shandwick obviously is one of the biggest agencies in the world. I was at Weber Shandwick in 2015, and essentially they took our office of about 80 or so people and split us up. So half of us continue to support Chevrolet, which is one of Weber's biggest accounts. And then the rest of us, and I didn't work on Chevrolet, are at Current Global now, working on anything from auto suppliers, healthcare. One of my biggest accounts actually is Pure Michigan, which is really exciting, and a great piece of business that we've had for a number of years. So yeah, I've been with, like I said, the company for a year and a half, but really it's been closer to 6.5, 7 years.
All right, that's really good. So is there any advice that you have for recently graduated students that you wish you knew when you graduated?
Yeah, I would say, treat the job hunt process, like it's a job. I think I had a little too much fun after college in terms of kind of like loosely looking for work, and there weren't as many opportunities out there at the time, like I mentioned. But really dedicating, putting aside some time every day, just scouring LinkedIn and other job sites for applications, and then don't be afraid to tap into either your personal network, or even you see someone that went to Eastern that is at a place that you're interviewing at, like reach out. I think everyone has been in that spot as a recent graduate looking for the kind of their first break, and for the most part people are more than happy to help out and put a good foot forward for you.
All right. So now we touched on your job a little bit, and so I want to go a little more in depth with that. So, what does a typical day of being the vice president of client experience entail? What does that job look like day to day?
Yeah, so at an agency, and it's something that I like, no one day is the same. It really depends on what's happening with various clients. And so my day to day really is just checking in with my clients to make sure that they're getting the support that they need, while also working with our team internally to make sure that, we're moving projects along, helping develop, the strategy of our programs, and then making sure that we're executing it. And so, yeah, day to day, it can be anything from, meetings just to get the status updates on those, assignments that we're working on, talking with the clients. I still very much, storytelling is still kind of at the core of what I do. So, by all means, I'm still pitching media, helping develop LinkedIn content or bylines. So I really, my background is more on the earn side. So I think that's kind of where I focus on a bit more. And then, if there's opportunities to continue just to grow and learn more about the other aspects, I'm absolutely trying to do that.
So, being the vice president, obviously, I feel like it takes probably a lot of work to get up there. How were you able to get the position of vice president? Were there any projects or things that helped you get there? What would that look like for you?
Yeah, I wish there was like a silver bullet of like, if you do this, like, or like you do these three things, like you will ultimately grow. But it's the, what anyone I think would say in terms of, as long as you work hard. And I've been fortunate to work with a lot of really talented people and had a lot of great bosses in my career, which has been super helpful for just my career growth. And so, it's just been, I've been doing this for over a decade and putting in the work. So nothing, we didn't win a piece of business, or, I secured this placement that was like, okay, now you're finally a vice president. I think it's just, with anything comes with time and experience.
How are you able to use different PR skills in your daily work?
Yeah, so the cool thing I've over the last year or so my background is more, I mentioned Pure Michigan, but it's really, my specialty is more B2B and like technology mobility. And so this last year I've been doing a lot more consumer work. I was actually working with Kingsford Charcoal for the last year or so. And so for me, I've done a lot of traditional earned story placements, but for, a brand like Kingsford, it's very much more influencer, digital marketing based. And so that's definitely something that, like, how we implement influencer programs. And that's just something that's, as we see TikTok just continues to grow, like there's, it seems like every year or two, there's a new platform that like is an opportunity for us to reach our core audience for whatever the business is. And so just trying to learn more about that is definitely something that I've really enjoyed. But again, like no matter if you're doing digital or social or traditional earned, like storytelling is at the core of everything we do, right? It's just kind of how we're telling to those various audience and how they get it. And so I'm always trying to, read the news and really sharpen those skills.
All right. So my last question for you is, I know we talked about advice for graduated students, but is there any just general words of wisdom you have for either students still in college, recently graduated, that you wish that you had, or looking back, you would want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I know I hit on it earlier. Don't be afraid to ask people for help, or just to try to make those connections. Like, people want that. I know when I graduated, I had a few people that I reached out to, kind of a cold call, like, hey, you went to Eastern. I see you're at this place. Like, would love just to pick your brain. And people want to help other people, and so don't hesitate to reach out to others. Um, yeah, I think that's really the big thing. And don't be afraid to ask questions too when you start. I think we have over my years of experience, I've noticed with like interns, and I know I was this way too, of just like, you don't necessarily want to ask questions because you don't want to sound like you don't know what you're talking about. And so like, that's, I feel like where people get in the biggest trouble, because, you know, no one's expecting, you know, out of college that you have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, and I've been doing this for over a decade. And so I think if as you get more comfortable and just in your own skin and being able to ask, you know, hey, I don't know this, or, you know, I need help, like people want to help. And ultimately, if you're willing to ask for it, people are usually willing to help.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Dave, and thank you for all your information. If you guys are interested in connecting with Dave, his LinkedIn will be down in the comments. And thank you once again. Have a great week, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Valerie. Talk to you later.
An interview like this one, DM us your email address and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.